had these, this kind of pajama life. By pajama life, I mean that, one leg is in teaching and the other leg is in design practice. And for me, somehow, one worked with the other. Looking back, I cannot imagine how one would have been possible without the other. I don't know how I could have taught with the kind of sort of inner joy if I was not practicing at the same time. If I was not in a position where I was facing in my practice the same difficulties, the same dilemmas, the same frustrations, the same cogitations, kaise kare, kaise hoga, which the student is feeling in the studio. So, for me in class, the empathy of the student situation was something which I could have simply because I was in practice. The problem that, sometimes the student director is saying that, you're not working hard. Why? Because this is something I had told you to achieve and you're not achieving. Is something which the student says, but I am trying so hard. It's just not happening. What can I do? Is things which one would feel in practice. Because the client has certain demands and you are working with it, and it's not just happening now. And all you are saying is that, give us some more time to do it. And if the client is really thinking, feeling, seeing that work is happening, then the client is okay. But in college, the problem of time doesn't go away because things have to be done by the jury date or something like that. So I think there was one very important understanding of the other side of teaching, which is what is learning. So that was one side of the pajama. The other side of the pajama was the practice. And in the practice, again, the very idea of not calling quits, not giving up. It is often called that it is a dangerous thing to have. That sometime you have to say that, okay, now my work is done. I cannot do better than this. Let's close this stage. Let's do the billing for it. Let's get the money and move forward. I have a slightly different take on that. So people say who can do this kind of thing, they will make a good business of their practice. I have a slightly different take on that, and my take on that is do that. But always keep a small notepad for yourself, which is that every project goes through stages. It just doesn't get done straight away. And that stage can happen even during construction, even during finishing, and it can happen up to the last day before commissioning. Next day the ribbon is to be cut. And if the architect is not doing improvement till that time, which means that the architect is first of all involved in the project, has not given up just because the drawings are done and take a back seat, now let it happen, and not following what is happening. Sometimes you have already given instructions through drawings or whatever, and while the work is going on, you realize that you made a mistake. So one way is to cover it up. Let sleeping dogs lie. Okay, let someone find the mistake and then ask you, okay, who are you? Why are you just moving up to accept that you made a mistake and you want to make a correction and offering ways to solve it? If you are not doing that, then you don't get a good project. So sometimes you have to have this humility also, that I had told you everything must be done as per my drawing, and I know you did everything as per my drawing, but I know, I can see now that that is not correct and I want to change it. Okay? Knowing how this change can be effected is the biggest thing to achieve in practice. So sometimes you achieve it simply because you're so eminent and people just listen to you. So if Doshi was to go outside and find something which was he didn't like in his own design and his own drawings, and he said that I want to change it, nobody will even object. They will say, okay sir, as you say, we will just do it. But when you are not Doshi, then what do you do? Okay, then you have to have in your mind a way out of this Chakravyuh, which is of your own mind, it's of your own creation. Okay, nobody even knew it existed, but you know now the mistake existed. How do you get it to be correct so that going forward nobody discovers a mistake and then it falls on you after the project is done or after the project has been in use for some time, and then something happens or then something is seen and realized, then they will blame the architect. Okay, and architect getting that blame is not good for practice. If you make the correction, then people say, oh, he found mistake and he made a correction. That aspect, that the humor of it will die down very soon, and later on it will be found that that was the architect. वो ऐसा हो जाता ना, then it would have been a real disaster, but he caught his mistake in time and he corrected it. That is great for your practice. So I would say that in learning how to teach and in learning how to practice, there are lots of things which you have to get to know, the practical aspects. इसको you can say व्यावहारिक बातें होती हैं, which are away from theory, which are slightly ahead of theory. So theory gives you the basics, that's definitely there, but in teaching, I would say that if you are going to be a teacher, first of all, don't stop being a student. So as you teach, so you learn. So if you keep your mental space for learning, the mental space for teaching will grow. That's very important. And mental space for learning, I don't mean the acquisition of degrees. I don't mean attending courses. Though yes, it earns you marks and so on. All of that has its own space, but it's not enough. What is enough what is required more than what is enough is that you actually do learning by yourself, so that you develop a mastery of something. The word master, which is used for teacher as a you can say synonym for a teacher. So हालांकि you can say master ji is spoken in fun. ये तो master ji है. The fact is that the person is a master, and when you are a master, then you know your subject like the back of your hand. Empathize with your students, that number one. Be a master, number two. And be an uncompromising leader, number three. So you set your program straight away. What you will let happen, or you can say what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. So I can tolerate many things. I can tolerate pranks over me in class. I can tolerate backbenchers giggling, not paying attention. I can tolerate many things in my students. What I cannot tolerate in my students is shoddy work. So shoddy work to me is when it appears from what you are doing that you are not invested in what you are presenting. So if I can see that you are invested in what you are presenting, even if I find shortcomings in the content, I am willing to give you extra opportunity, give you extra time, or maybe helping you even. But I need from my students the commitment, that investment, that surety that, we are doing this work seriously. We are not good enough is another matter. If you're not good enough, then I'll say, my problem. I will have to make you good enough. But from your side, I want you to be totally committed to work. So that is the compromise I will not make. I will be making a lot of other compromises. I can even make compromises in decorum, all that. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you see a lot of people thinking that my classes are easy. So yeah, I don't mind. Let the classes be easy, but when it comes to what work they give me, that is not easy. So these are the few things that you have to set down for yourself as your mottos to be a teacher. To be ever ready to put in effort much, much, much beyond what is required. If only you can see in that investment of effort that this little thing of mine, or even if it's not little thing, this big effort of mine is going to change that in the student. वो अगर यहाँ से यहाँ पहुँच गया, अगर उसने इतनी सी बात सीख ली, उसके लिए मेरे को उसके साथ एक पूरी रात बैठ के उसको समझाना पड़े, तो मैं तैयार हूँ. क्योंकि काम टीचर का, the work of the teacher is not to attend college. The work of the teacher is to teach. And of course, in the pandemic, we never attended college and we were still teaching. And thanks to all the, the ways of communication we have now, we were probably with our students almost at their beck and call. So even if I was not responding to the students, they were actually free to ask at any time, and I could respond to them whenever. So that is another quality which is very important. To be able to respond, to be able to answer students' queries, to be able to honestly say to the student that I do not know at this time, but give me a day, I will come back to you. Okay, is very important. About, when was it? About a year ago, a year and a half ago, there was this incident. Not incident, there was this project in which the client was same, the site was same, and we in the housing studio were doing it as an architectural project, and the students of housing were doing it as a planning project. And there was a WhatsApp group formed. And then some students of planning, they post some questions on the WhatsApp group. And it could have been that I had nothing to do with it. I mean, they were different course, different department, doing different things. And really, I had no business to butt in, you can say. But seeing the question on the group, I realized that these students need some help. And so I responded that, why don't you try doing this? And yes, after half an hour, the message came, yes sir, it worked, thank you sir. That emboldened them to ask me immediately another question after that. ये तो हो गया, but now what about this? So all night we had a conversation. I had a conversation with, you can say, persons who were not even my students. And in this particular case, yes, they happen to be in the School of Planning and Architecture. I have this kind of conversation with random students from all over the country. Now finding people's numbers is so easy. People just call up. I am student from so and so and so. I got your number from the website, and I found that you are doing this, or you are taking housing studio, or you've done a project like this in your college, or my thesis topic is this, and do you have this thesis topic done in your college, so that I can get some information. If I know about it, I will respond. I will tell them, yeah, this is like this, and that sets up a communication which, I mean, there is no boundaries. There is no kind of limitation that why should I be talking to you? You're not a student of my college. Why should I tell you anything? I am not responsible. So my approach to this is that if you are a person who knows, if you are a person who can help, if you are a person who is on the road driving a car, you are not going to not help the person ahead who you are seeing has fallen off the motorbike. What are you going to do? You are going to stop, and you are going to pick up that person, and you are going to take him to hospital. Same with teachers. So it's not a limitation about being in the cohort. He's my student, he's not my student. I can talk to him, I should talk to him. We also develop lots of complications about, oh, this is the student, but this student is the student of that teacher, so I will not talk. Maybe that teacher will mind. But I'm saying if all teachers are open to this idea that everyone who's a student is someone they can help, then these complications will not.